what you call, to find out something different, especially the field of it's called the spiritual path. So that is how, while I was already in the university, I got interested in learning something about, well, Hinduism, Buddhism, J. Krishnamurti, also different kinds of is it mic loud enough? No. So, at the time, that is around 1972, 73, in Holland, where I came from, there was not much to be found in the sense of ritual teachings. Actually speaking, as far as there were only about 55 people called themselves Buddhists in the whole of the Netherlands. So that's very, very, very little. And they used to come together only twice a year, in the autumn and in the springtime. And they would have somebody who knows something about Buddhism, and they might meditate together, but that was about it. But to jump a little bit in time, when I came back to Holland regularly and from time to time saw the state of Buddhism in Netherlands, at a certain time there happened to be a long article in the newspapers about Buddhism in Holland. And in that article, they said that nowadays there are about 250 Buddhist centers in the Netherlands. So that is from the 45 people in the beginning, around 1972, till maybe I went back a couple of times to Holland. And by coincidence, I saw this article about the development of Buddhism in the Netherlands, that we could see, yes, different Buddhist centers have sprung up. Not all Theravada, by the way. You know, there were some what you call Thai ladies who had come to the Netherlands and married Dutch men, and the ladies wanted to have their Buddhist teachings and the Buddhist temple. So they got the Buddhist temple through the Thai embassy from London, basically. They got a monk and they managed to start the first Theravada Buddhist temple in the Thai tradition. And later on, different Thai people managed to get their temples in Holland. And recently, let's say only a couple of years ago, the Thai organization called Dhammakaya, it's a very big and very wealthy Buddhist organization in Bangkok and also in Chiang Mai and Thailand in general. They bought a Catholic church, a beautiful Catholic church. And that is in a small village where there were 4 churches. And in Holland, a lot of people don't want to follow Christianity or, Catholicism or Christianity. They are more interested in other things. And so this church was bought from the Catholic people and used by the Buddhists. And then slowly, the Catholic people in that village started liking the way that they were conducting their services, and they became interested in Buddhism. There is a Buddhist monk from Holland, Netherlands, who is also a graduate in psychology, for instance, who was teaching Buddhism and doing different kinds of teachings there. And that church has become a very sort of popular Buddhist center for the whole area. There are even several others, but I don't want to mention all of them, but saying that there are more than one, there's about 5, 6, 7 Thai Buddhist centers. And then you might wonder, what about Sri Lankan Buddhist centers? Well, actually speaking, there were not any Sri Lankan Buddhist centers for quite some time. But when the Vietnamese Buddhists, the Mahayana Buddhists, wanted to sell their temple, where I was staying, by the way. I was staying in a Mahayana temple belonging to the Vietnamese. Well, the people who were refugees in the early 80s, who fled from communism in Vietnam, they came to Holland, and they wanted also their practice in Vietnamese Buddhism to keep up the culture, the language, and everything, and their vegetarian food also. But they then started, but yeah, they actually bought, they sold their temple to the what you call the new Vietnamese temple. They built a beautiful new temple, and then they used that one and sold the other old building. And the Sri Lankan people said, "Oh, that's a nice place." So, only thing is, in that place, it is in the middle of nowhere. If you don't have a car, for instance, you can't go anywhere unless the daikyas take you here and there, which they usually don't. They just come to give the dana and listen to the bana, but they're not very interested in showing you around the country. So the monks have to be of a special type who don't mind the isolated life that they live in that temple. So like that also, there have been what you call Tibetan lamas, in followers of the Dalai Lama, who have fled also from Tibet and even from Nepal and India, and who came to Europe and including the Netherlands. They managed to start several Tibetan temples there as well, mostly run by one Lama and then some lay people. And they were spread out over the whole country, maybe 3, 4, 5 different centers. But that is just focusing on what happened in the Netherlands. And of course, the interest in Buddhism, I should mention, I cannot mention this in China, for instance, but you know, the Dalai Lama, whom I think is the #1 propagandist of Buddhism in the world, he has come to Holland quite a few times. I remember all of a sudden that on our neighbor's black and white television, the Dalai Lama was sitting hand in hand with the Queen of the Netherlands, Queen Juliana. That is around the time that the Tibetans fled 1959 from Tibet. And apparently the Dutch royal family showed quite an interest in Tibetan Buddhism. And later on, more and more. I remember that a couple of years ago, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, not for the first time, but that time again, he came and gave some talks for 2 days in the biggest hall they could find in the Netherlands, which was a hall just outside of Rotterdam. You know, Rotterdam, the second largest city in the Netherlands. And there were about 12,000 people who listened to him for 2 days. Can you imagine 12,000 people? When I when I tried to get a seat there, and I sent an email, they replied to me, "Are you ordained?" And I said, "Well, I am ordained." "Oh, you can have a good seat on the near the Dalai Lama in that case." So they had a few monks and nuns who had very good seats close to His Holiness. And the Dalai Lama gave talks in English and also through a translator who had been a monk earlier. Later on, he disrobed and he became the official translator. And he gave these talks on Buddhism, including Tibetan Buddhism. And it was so typical for the growth of Buddhism in the Netherlands that so many people, 10,000, 12,000 people come to listen to them, and for 2 days. And so on. And recently, when His Holiness the Dalai Lama, on the 7th of July, had his 90th birthday, there was a lot of festivities in the Netherlands also. The international, what is called Tibet community also, with Richard Gere and others, they are following the Dalai Lama and they're organizing a lot of things for him and for the Tibetans. But that is not just all. This is just now concentrated on Holland. But I do remember that once we had a meeting in Belgium. Now, Belgium, as you know, might know, Belgium is just next to the Netherlands. There is a beautiful castle, and a Tibetan Buddhist organization bought that castle, and a Lama who was there, Lama, what was his name now? Forget at the moment. Lama Karma. He was staying there, and there were quite a few people staying in that Tibetan Buddhist center. And also, we had a meeting there of Western Buddhist teachers. That's another organization that started in Europe with the growth of Buddhism, Western Buddhist teachers. That means, like me, people who have gone to the East, like Burma, Thailand, even Japan and other countries to learn Buddhism. They have yearly meetings, and then they discuss many different things. So this was one of those meetings. The Western Buddhist teachers annual meeting in a beautiful place. And not only at that time, I remember, for instance, when in Germany, if you remember that in November 1989, the wall in Germany came down. You see? So the communist part of Germany went down, and Germany was reunited. And after that, the German Buddhist Union organized a very big meeting for all the Buddhist unions in Europe. Every country in Europe nowadays has a different Buddhist union. The Buddhist Union in Holland, Buddhist Union in Belgium, Buddhist Union in France, Germany, Sweden, all those places. So in the eastern part, the former eastern part of Germany, in the Walter See Halle, they had a very huge meeting with very famous Buddhist teachers from all over Europe and the world, including famous Thich Nhat Hanh from, from Vietnam, and Sister Kema, who some of you might be remembering. Sister Kema, who spent about 10 years in Sri Lanka, and wrote many books, and she started so many centers in Germany, at least 3 major centers. One is called the Buddha House, other one is called what is it called? There's a special name for this, which is to do with the situation in a beautiful area from where you can see the snowy peaks of the Alps mountains. And that is all for meditation and teaching of the Buddhism. So Sister Kena was a single lady after she actually left Sri Lanka after spending 10 years in Sri Lanka. You remember, all of you remember that during the JVP, I mean the earlier JVP times, that in 1989, things became very difficult, and she decided to leave, and she went back to Germany. And then within a couple of years, she started together with her friends and supporters, beautiful, really beautiful, beautiful centers. They had their own printing press, they had teaching training, and they organized what you call regular courses for people who come and practice there. So that is one kind of what you call teacher who had on her own a whole lot of followers. But then, for instance, now, just I'm hopping around here and there in Europe, but in England, they had an organization, it's still there. It is what you call venerable, what's his name? Somebody who became Sangharakshita. Sangharakshita was a Buddhist monk who got ordained in India and was told by his teacher to go and do something for Buddhism way up in the northeast of India. And then there was another monk called Buddharakshita, Dhammarakshita, and then Sangharakshita. Sangharakshita became famous and also a little bit infamous. But anyway, he became more famous by his teaching and his scholarship. He wrote some very, very scholarly and interesting books, and started a big organization, and hundreds of people became members, and they also organized, mostly first in England, but later also in different countries, even in Australia and New Zealand. They had their branches. So, talking about Australia, now Australia, of course, is not exactly a Buddhist country, but Australia got a lot of foreigners, so-called foreigners from different countries to settle in Australia. A lot of Sri Lankans settled in Sri Lanka, in Thai, Burmese, Chinese, and so many others, Laotian, etc., etc. So all those particular different um, teach teachers and centers, they have their own traditions. They, you know, they have their own pronunciation of the chanting, even if they're chanting Pali, it is with a different kind of accent. But if it is not exactly Pali, then nobody else can understand it. Like the Vietnamese chanting, I stay very often with Vietnamese, but I can't understand a word really speaking of the chanting because it is a completely different language. And I haven't managed to learn Vietnamese. So, but in Australia, all around Australia, there are centers. And of course, nowadays, with all the achans like Achan Sumedo, Achan Brahmavamso, Achan this, Achan that. I don't know whether you're aware of the word Achan. It comes from, not from Acharur, but from actually um, from Acharya. Acharya Brahmavamsa. And then they say Achan Brahma Achan Brahmavamsa. So that is how they shorten the names, also because they found it difficult to pronounce Acharya. But anyway, that organization of the Thai tradition, which was started actually after Achan, um, Achan, let's see, the teacher of Achan, Achan Cha, yes, Achan Cha. So Achan Cha was actually the main teacher, even though he was not well after some time, he could not speak anymore, but they still derived certain teachings from him. And the pupils of Achan Cha, they managed to start centers, especially around um, in Perth and surroundings, but also in Melbourne and Sydney and other kind of smaller places in Australia. So there also you find that, yes, Buddhism has grown a lot. Now, I think maybe we're going a little bit over time, but this is just to give you some idea of how the Buddhism is really growing. Just one thing that comes to my mind, which may be important, that is, we had a meeting of Western Buddhist teachers in California at Jack Cornfield's center. Jack Cornfield was a famous teacher, and there, His Holiness the Dalai Lama was there also. And then Jack Cornfield gave a book to His Holiness saying, Your Holiness, this is a book with, you see, addresses of Buddhist centers in North America. And yeah, it was mostly North America, including Canada, I think. So he said, and it has about 600 addresses. But the next edition, which is about to come out, it will be printed soon, will have 1,000 addresses. So it shows how the Buddhism in those countries also is really growing exponentially. So I don't know if I should go on giving um, what at the time of the
So we have time another 45 minutes. Meditation.
meditation starts at
You can go till 6 when you have it.
meditation. Yeah, for the meditation. But I mean, for the talk.
No restriction. No restriction.
So let me just think if I can remember that the different kinds of Buddhist centers in different countries, they're not restricted to either the different kind of sect, or like whether it is Theravada or Vajrayana or Mahayana. Well, they are in a way, each center has its own tradition, but generally speaking, they're well, they're quite open-minded towards all the other, and they do have what is called inter-religious meetings where the different followers and teachers of those centers get together. So I can say, for instance, that Sister Kena's centers in the south of Germany, with the beautiful views of the Austrian Alps, they had me to come there teaching every year almost, and that is in the center called Buddha House, where they organize meditation retreats, and people can register, people can stay there quite comfortably, and that is all quite good, well organized, as Germany is very good in organizing things. Then we can say in South America, like what's
Meditation, meditation of the awareness.
yes, I mean, there's also the
How much of time we want for the
there's some,
from the believers.
yeah,
Yes, we can.
but not 6 o'clock.
Yeah, before that. Before that, it's when you are moving. You have to be meditation.
So, well, I could go on and on and on and on, I suppose, that the Buddhism has spread. And of course, as we know, I think Madam Vidyasekara and I happen to meet each other in Tibet. Now, Tibet is not the regular place where you tend to meet people, but there's several big monasteries. Of course, they are much smaller than that they used to be since Mao Zedong came in charge, but still they had quite big Buddhist centers with teachings and yeah, hundreds of monks staying there doing some kind of special teaching, namely the what they call the at the moment I forget.
Some in Sweden, some Sri Lanka.
Are you on me? You want
They are requested.
Oh, I see.
Few words about that, and then we can speak the meditation.
Oh, hmm. Okay, so now Geetanjali,
Request from Geeta Anjali, who wants the Venerable Sir to share some of his experiences in Sri Lanka. So just a few words about that, and after that we can start the meditation with this.
so is Geetanjali Geeta, who used to live in New Zealand? We don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Are you okay? Yes. So I've been to her house in New Zealand also, and been to her parents' place. My parents had lunch at her parents' here in Colombo, and that shows there is a lot of what is called, you know, hospitality, hospitality among the Buddhists. And that is part of the Buddhist culture. It may not be exactly, you know, the higher teachings of the Buddha, but in daily life it comes. So I've been asked to tell something about my experiences in Sri Lanka, and also about teachers and see. Well, try to keep it short. My experiences in Sri Lanka. Actually speaking, when I arrived in Sri Lanka, that is on the 1st of May 1975, and then went on to Ananda, where I spent a week, and then came to Sri Lanka, to Colombo, and came to Pagoda, and met the Venerable down there in Nianis Hindu. He invited me to stay at the temple. I said, well, I brought some small mat. I can sleep on the floor, and I was hoping to go for meditation. He said, no, you can stay here. You can have a go, and you can go to the meditation whenever you like. So, and later on, I did not realize that he was going to be so famous. He became very famous. Uttari Mahathero Saraswati Pura Nikaya. And he was practicing this kind of yeah, friendliness and welcoming attitude. And so I've been to many places in Sri Lanka, of course, all over, almost all over Sri Lanka, and I've seen the ancient culture of Sri Lanka, and my experience about Sri Lanka. Well, one thing was I did go for meditation. At that time, there was only what you call English teaching of meditation at Kanduboda Meditation Center by Cecilia. No, it's before. So anyway, there I find very great insights into the things as they are, and very good material. So I'm being asked for my teachings. So I just mentioned the one who actually invited me to stay at the temple, and then after some time said I could get ordained there. And Olande and name. He became later the famous teacher, even though he was not so interested in meditation, he was more interested in learning and teaching, like a scholar to other pupils, students. So, like that, I will see it's about it. So,
Start the meditation, no?
yeah. So then we could start our meditation online. I think I'm a little bit dehydrated. Just give me a second. Let us sit for meditation. Quietly, without the need to go anywhere. Without the need to do anything special. Just being where you are. Feeling your body sitting here from top to toe.
It's 50 years here.
Yes. So that you can mute your
Sandekat.
Mm. Most likely you will find your mind going here and there. You don't need to try to suppress the thoughts. No need to fight the ideas in your mind. Letting come, letting go. Let us continue towards the end of the meditation. Develop more metta. by wishing from your heart. May I be free from anger and fear. May I be free from greed, hatred, and delusion. May I be free from conflict and suffering. May I be free from conflict and suffering. May I be well. Peace and happy. May I be well and happy. May all beings, near and far, be well, be and happy. May all beings be well and happy. So be Bhavantu Sukita.
So thank you very much for this, sir, conducting the meditation session, which was preceded by a very interesting narrative, giving us a very insight. Next step to which some aspect is very particularly in the Western country. I think this forum is now open for discussion. If you want any clarifications, any questions or comments, please attend to do so. In your meditation as well. Anyone from the Zoom audience, if you want to raise any questions or comments, please unmute yourself, raise the hand and direct your questions, please. Yeah, Lakshman.
Venerable Olande Ananda we are very happy that the Venerable Thero is celebrating the 50th year of ordination and with the long service with the servants of the Buddha. We think it is a very fitting occasion that we are able to listen to the Dhamma talk and also the meditation conducted by Venerable Thero. And we wish Venerable Thero many more long years of Dhamma talk and also the great service done to Sri Lanka, because Venerable Thero's Dhamma talks are given in English and of course Sinhalese also, and always very popular as Olande Mahathero. So I'm sure that everyone really benefited, and we are very thankful and grateful to Venerable Thero. Sadhu, 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 Venerable Thero. I hope it was clear. I don't know whether it was clear, but we are very thankful and pay homage to Venerable Thero on this very auspicious occasion.
Thank you, Dr. Professor Lakshman. It was recommended by Professor Lakshman about the service Venerable Olande Ananda has done, and also commending him for this long journey, 50 years in wars. Thank you. Not many questions. So can I ask you a question very well, sir? What's the real purpose of meditation? Any short, simple answer to that? We all are engaged in a lot of meditation, mindfulness meditation, seated meditation, walking meditation, various types of meditation, breath meditation, then metta meditation, and the pilukul, and so many different kinds of meditations. What are we trying to achieve by all this? Simple answer, please.
Then there is also no meditation.
Yes.
But if I have to answer all those different types of meditation that you mentioned, then I think we will not be able to finish here on time. So in general,
Yes.
certain types of meditation come under the category of tranquility meditation. That gives us some sort of peace of mind. Some people also hope to get that peace of mind, but sometimes they only get a piece of the mind, not the real peace of mind. So, and the other types of meditation would be those which are helping us to see the things as they really are, meaning the insight meditation or the vipassana meditation, which is actually the one and only different meditation from all the others. So I don't think I can prescribe exactly what is necessary for you yourself. But I think if you start what you call experimenting with different kind of meditations, you will find out what is helping you to get some kind of peace of mind and maybe not. So you can try it out different ways. But the vipassana meditation or insight meditation is actually different in the sense that it may not give you peace of mind, but it may give you insight and some kind of wisdom.
But as far as the attainment of Nibbana is concerned, is there any specific type of meditation which will shift your thinking from tranquility to deep insight meditation, the vipassana? Say a person, as you know, a lot of attenuated to a large extent, and all the various other